Good morning. Welcome to the free webinar series that we'll be hosting over a period of time. And the first one that we are looking at is strategy implementation. Talent selection and assessment, trying to bust some myths over here. Okay, so let's see what all we have in store for you. This I've Googled some time back, and I've put this over here. So this is proposed as a competency structure by one of the consulting organizations who have their own, let's say, a psychometric profile or say a job profiling kind of a setup which is there. I will not name the organization, but I'd love to read through some of these things. The first competency that they want to focus on, and these are for managers, commits time and effort to ensure success. Could be simply put as time and task management. Closes through logical incremental steps. Now what the person is closing, what are these logical incremental steps, what is expected, is unfortunately not mentioned over there. So from wherever I am quoting this, it is not mentioned over there. So again, gray area. Opportunistic, fine. So this is understandable, but there are further riders which need to be there. What kind of opportunities is the manager converting or the leader converting? How do you calculate the opportunity cost in case he or she doesn't convert it? So what is it that you go and implement as a check and balance over there? We are not very sure, and my yammer goes again. Sorry. Okay. So maximize results by systematically managing an account plan. Could have easily been said as put down as follows accounting standards effectively, or comes up with certain accounting practices which might not be standard and are either the resources are managed in that manner effectively, or there is some efficiency which is reduced. So either effectiveness or efficiency. Simple terms, maximizing results by accounting, I really don't know. Driven to produce by, fine, so you get my point. So try and keep things simple. And then I mentioned over here, talent is overrated. Well, that's actually the title of a book, a very inspirational book which I had read over a period of time. Talent is overrated. So what basically they are trying to say is that if a person is presumed to be having some kind of inherent talent at some point in time, let's say when you're a kid you could sing extremely well, that does not necessarily ensure that once you grow up you would become a professional singer or you'd be very successful at singing. So that's the reason talent is overrated, and we need to take some of these things with a pinch of salt. Okay, and what you need not do ever is Google for competencies. So the first thing that I'm going to get into over here is try and help you understand how competencies are created, how a competency structure can be created from scratch for absolutely any organization. Okay, so the first thing that anybody would look at, and I'm sure most of you have done this in some manner or the other. So each and every organization that I've ever interacted with any leaders that I've ever interacted with, in today's date, nobody says that we don't have a competency structure. Everybody says yes, we have a competency structure. How effective it is, how practical it is, we really don't know. So we'll see a few things that we're trying over here. If these make sense to you, I would love to kind of let you adopt them. Okay, task analysis. That is the basic. That's the basic building block for any kind of competency structure. So what exactly are competencies? Competencies in general terms are the knowledge, the skill, and the ability or the attitude that we have towards our work. Knowledge of what? Knowledge of things that we require at work. A skill, basically that knowledge being implemented. Knowledge could be that I know how to create a pivot table in Excel. But whenever I have to create a pivot table, I create too many errors. So my skill level is still not there. So this is basically competencies. But how do you get to competencies? Presume you have absolutely no idea what is the kind of knowledge which is required for a particular task. What is the kind of skill which is required, and what kind of ability a person has to display for that particular task. So your best bet is You go and sit down with the person and you try and observe him. You ask him questions. You ask him, okay, what kind of knowledge it is that you require for this particular task, what kind of skill it will translate into, and what level that skill should be at, and what kind of attitude or ability, something which is more behavioral than the knowledge and skill, would you have to display, or would you have to carry as an attitude, as a persona, as a personality with you to make this task successful. So those are few things that we need to consider. Okay, having said this, I'll show you a Google form which is just a sample and some sample data which is there, which will help us understand how this task analysis can be done. Now, would you compare a task analysis to, say, a training needs analysis? Yes, that can be done, and there are certain circumstances in which it is done, but that is not what we are trying to do right now. So we just look at it as a pure play task analysis, and this is the Google form that I have created a while back. Let me show you how this works. So this is just, it says task analysis questionnaire. Let us go to the live form. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So it says sample training needs questionnaire oblique a task analysis questionnaire. So the training needs questionnaire probably we'll have to take up in some other session, because we will not reach the stage where you are trying to assess the training needs. Here at a very basic stage, you are just trying to assess the tasks and understand how the competencies will get culled out of that. So what you're basically asking the employees in your organization is that keep in mind that there are difference of importance of task versus time spent on task completion. Now let's presume that there is one particular task that I perform maybe just once in a year, and let's again presume I am say the manager HR of some organization, and I perform one particular task once in a quarter. So the frequency of performing that task could be just once in a quarter. The time that I might take in performance of that task could be, say, 15-20 minutes. But the importance of that task, the value that I am adding to the organization versus what is expected, sorry, not versus, and in addition, what is expected of me while performing that task by the organization. So that will define how important that particular task is. Further building on that, we can look at job analysis. Now we'll look at job analysis in a different webinar. I mentioned that here also, and also on my website. So once you do job analysis, then you can look at tasks even in more depth, in more vertical form. You can dive deeper into the task and try and understand how you are judging importance. So for now, just a very basic understanding that importance versus time spent on a task can be two different things. They need not be related. Okay, what do you depend on? So who do you depend on? Sorry, information inputs to carry out your tasks. So what kind of information, what kind of inputs are you requiring to complete your task? Do you require inputs from some other team? Is some other team passing on information to you? Is some other individual in the organization passing on information to you? Is somebody external to the organization passing on information to you, basis which you are completing that particular task of yours? Now again, take a very simple example. Say the marketing team in your organization, they would be getting different inputs from the environment and then creating a marketing strategy. So they would be dependent on some kind of information. So that is what we are looking at over here. So a person just needs to mention that information, saying that this is what I am looking for before I can go ahead. Whom do you routinely share information with? So, in the same manner, because the most organization relationships are symbiotic in nature, you are waiting for information and you're also sharing information which others are using and utilizing to get their work done. So these folks are basically your stakeholders. So you have some stake in their success within the organization framework, and they also have some stake in your success, or maybe in your department's success in the organizational framework. So those become your stakeholders. As the so I am on point 4 now. Are these tasks that are to be completed by others before you can begin your own tasks? So is there a fixed timeline? Presume that you work in a project mode, or even if you work in a BAU mode, which is like a business as usual, the daily operations mode, many a times there are fixed deadlines which are there, on which you would have to receive certain information that you can action upon and make your tasks or your your SLAs effective. Otherwise, if presume you're supposed to publish a report on the 5th of every month, you receive information, data inputs, whatever from whomever you have to on the 6th of the month. So obviously your SLAs get delayed, right? So, and in case of any challenges, we are suggesting that you should get in touch with either your organization OD team or with us, whichever way. So basic task analysis, not a job analysis, which can be done later basis inputs gathered here. Look at the list of webinars for job analysis, how to webinar, any which way. So that's just a disclaimer. Now this is live form. Let me just fill in some dummy data over here and show you how this basically works. Okay, so what I'm basically seeking is details of task 1. List down the task in as much detail as possible. Kindly use bullet points. So let's say compiling the payroll. Next could be validating the taxation for that particular month or whatever that could be. And say the third task could be say CNV changes, any promotions happening, any transfers happening, any on-site promotions happening. So those could be simple tasks which are there for say the payroll or the finance team which is involved with the payroll department. And within this there could be some say ERP updates. Your payroll team, your finance team might go and update the Oracle financials, or say they update some changes in the SAP R3, whichever way. So these could be some of the tasks that your finance team could take up. Now presume we want to know when they are taking up these tasks. So this entire list of 4 tasks could end up being their monthly payroll cycle. So that's a very common term which we use. So let's say it's happening monthly. Perfectly fine. So now let's take another input. Let's look at somebody who's involved in sourcing for the organization. Say sourcing profiles. Then say validating with current database in case we have those profiles, so maybe we'll reject them or whichever way, we'll say these are duplicates or something. And then say shortlisting with the hiring manager. So these become samples for us. And when is this happening? Say it's happening on a weekly basis. So we do this, we just go ahead and we say continue. Then what is the knowledge that we require? In the first case, the example that we took in the payroll case, there could be knowledge of finance, taxation, payroll, software. So those could be few things. And in the second case, the sourcing case, it could be simply portal access, how to get that done, a few other things over there. Okay. So what kind of skills would you require? Excel sheets, MS Office, of course, Open Office, any client specific tool. So what I'll probably do is I'll do a smart thing. I'll just put all of this over here, because learning any new skill is never wrong, and I can fib a little over here. Perfectly fine. So let's go ahead. Please mention the name of the process guideline, policies and SOPs which you refer, perform your job. So let's say there is policy 1, process 2, and these are the things that I am following. So I've listed them down. Which 3 issues would you mostly refer to your superiors before taking action on, and why? So this is basically, pardon me. So this is basically a way to judge what's the level of decision making a particular role can do. Also, what is the level of delegation within a particular team, uh, and few other things which I wouldn't want to discuss now, but those can also be measured by such questions. Mention 3 challenges you face while performing routine tasks. Who can provide a solution for such challenges? Now, there are a lot of organizations who believe that at the leaders level, there is some kind of networking, there is some kind of, informal gatherings required and things to that effect. And whereas at the team member level, they can exist in silos in different departments. But that is the most tragic situation to be in. If your teams from say different departments, say the HR folks, not talking to the finance teams, things will not work very well. Say the ops not working along with the quality, again that will land you up into a lot of trouble. So what you need to understand is, presume under a manager, say there are 30 employees in one particular team, and under another manager, say manager 2, there are 20 employees in another team or department. How do these 20 interact with these 30? When all, for what all information, what all shared resources, etc., etc. So once you can get this kind of information, then you can start understanding that whenever you do those conflict management workshops, whenever you take teams out for team building sessions and this and that, it is not one HR spock who's taking a different team or a different department. If you gel these people together, because they have needs for integration and social integration basically. So if that does not happen, they will not work very well together. Okay, next is, whether for all my challenges or whatever challenges that I have, do I have a standard solution? That is one. The second is, whenever somebody from any other department approaches me, do I have a standard solution in place wherein I can tell them, okay, fine, you get this thing done in this particular manner. And similarly, when I approach them, do they have standard solutions for me or not? So that will help us understand, because my managers or the managers of other departments, the leaders of other departments might presume that everybody is getting work done by the laid down policies, the standards which are there in place. But there could be situations wherein within the organization, people who are meant to be in those standard roles are facing situations which are not everyday situations, not standard situations, and they would be somehow managing in whichever manner. So that there again, the tasks need to be understood, the competencies need to be created in such a manner that a person sitting in that particular role should not be looking for a standardized SOP, should not be looking for a templatized kind of work. He or she should be able to think on their own, that capacity has to be there, the potential has to be there. So but if we are not cognizant of this fact, then we will obviously not achieve that.